Right, before we start this class with a permutation of materials, I will ask how all of you were doing during the quarantine due to COVID-19. I ask one person to represent me to tell me about the quarantine period during CO-19.
Well, I'm Samir, willing to represent my friends to tell how the quarantine during COVID-19. I only stayed home for almost 3 months, and I only left the house if I bought something important. I leave the house with a mask and only touches the items I want to buy. After going home, just clean myself and do not touch objects around the house. And I also learned from home. That is all the things I usually do outside the home during quarantine, only at home.
Thank you, Samir, who was willing to talk about your quarantine while at home. And I also learned from home. That is all the things I usually do outside the home during quarantine, only at home. Well, I will start my material about permutations. Permutation is a term used to indicate the arrangement of objects in a set by looking at the order. This sequence must not be arbitrary, but there is a formula. There are 5 types of permutations, namely permutations of n different elements, permutations of elements with 0 is less than or equal to r is less than or equal to n, cyclical permutations, permutations with the same elements, and recurring permutations. The important point that becomes the difference between permutations and combinations is attention to this ordering, where the permutations pay attention to the order, whereas the combination does not pay attention to the order. The composition of x, y and yx on permutations is counted too, whereas in combination only one is counted. The notation of permutation is p. If k object is taken from n object, then the number of arrangements that can be formed is called n permutation k, which is denoted by npk, where npk equals n minus k. N. The center hotel notation is factorial. Problems example how many arrangements of 2 letters can be formed from the letters A, B and C. Answer: it is known that the structure to be formed is k equals 2 objects arranged from n equals 3 objects, so the number of structures formed is npk equals 3p2 equals n minus k. N equals 3 minus 2. 3 equals 1. 3 equals 1. 3 times 2 times 1 equals 3 times 2 equals 6. The center hotel composition formed is AB, AC, BA, BC, CA and CB. Permutation with repetition. Permutations with repetition mean permutations that allow the same object to appear more than once. If kk object is taken from nn object, where the objects may appear more than once, then the number of arrangements that can be formed is n(k). Permutation with repetition. Permutations with repetition mean permutations that allow the same object to appear more than once. If kk object is taken from nn object, where the objects may appear more than once, then the number of arrangements that can be formed is n rank of k. In general, divided into 5 types, namely as follows. Point 1. Different permutations and elements in this type of permutation, which is required to determine the number of ways to adjust the element by looking at the order. Mathematically, it is formulated as follows: npn equals n permutations n equals p, n equals n. 2. Mutation of r of n elements with 0 is less than or equal to r is less than or equal to n. This type of permutation requires to be more thorough because the thing requested is no longer as simple as the different permutations. Permutation of this element, the order is still considered but the elements must not be repeated. Mathematically, it is formulated as follows: npr equals n permutations r equals p, n, r equals n. nr. 3. Cyclic permutation. Circular, cyclic permutation is used to determine the number of ways to arrange different elements in a circular condition. Mathematically, it is formulated as follows: p cyclic equals n1. 4. Permutations with the same elements. Permutations with the same elements have a characteristic in them, i.e. the same element or element must not be used more than once. Mathematically, it is formulated as follows: npr1, r2, r3, rn equals n. r1, r2, r3, rn. 5. Repeated permutation and repeated permutations, the order is still considered, but not the elements may be repeated. Mathematically, it is formulated as follows: Pn equals n rank of r. Okay for the material this time. I thank you for the time given. I hope you are always healthy.